Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. So today we're going to talk about something really important that we can observe in pretty much every day of our life. And this is the idea that hotter things expand and cooler things contract. So hotter things get bigger in size, cooler things get smaller in size. So what we're going to need for this experiment is a jar. It's great if it's a glass jar. And we need it to have a pretty good size mouth on top. All right, we're also going to need a balloon, and we're going to need hot water and a way to heat up water, really. So that's pretty much all you need for this experiment. Pretty straightforward from that standpoint. So what are we going to do here? Well, we are going to first blow up the balloon, but only a little bit. And so we want the balloon to be just larger than the size of the opening of your jar. So I've blown up a balloon already. So just to give you an idea, we don't want it to just go right into the jar, but we want it to be able to just sit on top of the jar just like that. We don't want it to be super big though. All right, so that's what we need for the setup. And then we need to go get some hot water. So I'll see you over at the kitchen. So first we'll want to fill our jar with hot water. So it's nice and hot as it's going to get. And then just fill it all the way up. And leave a little room if you want. And next we will microwave it for 1 minute. 1 minute. All right, when you remove it, make sure you're careful. You can use a pot holder or one of these little gloves if you have one. We're going to dump the water out. And then we're going to put the balloon back on top of it. All right, so we have our piping hot glass jar. You're going to put the balloon right over it right away as quickly as you can. And you want to make sure the balloon is sort of sealed around the top of the jar. So you might want to hold it on there for a couple of seconds, but pretty quickly the balloon will start to grab or be grabbed by the jar. So this is going to take a little while. It'll probably take about 10 minutes or so. That's about as long as we'll watch it. I'll speed it up on the video, but if you're doing it at home, that's about how long you will want to let it sit. So I'm going to put up the black background so it's a bit easier to see, and we will just see what happens. Okay, so what did we see? Well, we saw the balloon got lower in the jar. Now, when we put the balloon on top of the jar, we created a seal around the top of the jar, around the opening, that didn't allow the air inside the jar to escape, and it didn't allow air outside the jar to go in. So that means that the amount of air inside, like the number of molecules of air, didn't change at all. So that means that the actual air got smaller, it contracted. And so this is really important. Air, and a lot of things in general, most things, contract when they get cooler and they expand when they get hotter. So that's what we saw in the jar. As the air in the jar got cooler, it contracted and it sucked the balloon lower into the jar. Now if we were to heat it up again somehow, maybe put it in a pot of hot water, then we would see the air inside expand and the balloon again would rise. Now, even right now, it's hard to get the balloon out because there's a seal. So in the real world, we can see this in hot air balloons. Right, hot air balloons are called hot air balloons because they are filled with hot air. So hot air is pumped into the balloon and the hot air expands because it's hot, and because it's less dense, it rises. And even on a larger scale, this is how a lot of weather systems work. A lot of wind just moves around between less dense and more dense areas, and that changes constantly, and so that's why there's almost always some sort of breeze or wind going on. So this is a really important concept, that hotter things expand and cooler things contract. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson. If you have any comments, questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.